I can't come home for Thanksgiving again. Let's go back to November of 2023, when I first came to the realization of something that had been racking my mind for years and years. I hate going home for Thanksgiving. Which was incorrect. What I actually hate is the preparation, traveling, and time taken away from a day or two of rest that I have in the most stressful part of my year. I love my family dearly, and as eldest daughters often do, I moved away from them when I was young to experience different parts of the country, expand my world, whatever. So I don't even see them for the majority of the year. I just also can't imagine traveling back to my parents' various homes, because, yes, they're divorced. And on top of that, having to choose which parent to see. I know it's not rocket science. I could switch off, I could ask for help, I could do XYZ, but can I really? Let's dig in. I have 3 reasons why. Because the country is in chaos, because I'm low on cash, and because I'm emotionally, physically, and mentally tired. Because the country is in chaos. You don't need to read any think pieces, this one included, YouTube news summaries, or tune into your favorite podcast to know it. Just step outside and listen for 5 minutes. Here's a rundown of everything that's happened this year. January. On his first day back in office, Trump signed Executive Order 14148, rescinding many executive orders from the prior administration, including ending certain climate, environmental, DEI, and border policies. Some particulars in that include pulling out of the Paris Agreement, loosening regulations on energy production, speeding up resource extraction and fossil fuel projects. This signaled a sweeping policy shift by reorienting federal priorities on environment, social programs, and immigration. The administration also established a new agency, the Department of Government Efficiency, or for short, I'm sure you know, DOGE, which just took a hatchet to everything, notably massive firings and administrative leave actions at USAID, the Agency for International Development, cutting that specific workforce from about 10,000 folks to 300. Yeah. February. In come the new tariffs. 25% on all goods from Canada and Mexico, except some energy exports, and 10% on Chinese goods. Let's skip ahead a little bit to August. The administration issued Executive Order 14333, declaring a crime emergency in the District of Columbia. As a result, federal control of law enforcement in Washington, D.C. was imposed, including deployment of the National Guard and federal agencies. This is historically significant, along with a lot of other things in this list, because it marks the first time the federal government took direct control of local policing in D.C. under home rule laws. Skip ahead a little bit more to October. The second No Kings protests took place, organized by civil rights and progressive groups against authoritarianism under the U.S. government. The protest in October drew millions of participants and may have been among the largest single-day protest events in U.S. history. In November, the administration reversed prior restrictions on oil and gas drilling, especially in Alaska's public lands. And then new offshore oil drilling lease sales were announced off California's, Florida's, and Alaska's coasts, which was the first major expansion in decades. There were also major changes to immigration. The administration implemented broad system changes, including freezing roughly 235,000 green card applications, especially for refugees and asylees, ordering re-interviews, and canceling certain temporary protected status grants. The government also had a major shutdown that began October 1st and ended November 12th, lasting 43 days, making it the longest federal government shutdown in U.S. history. And over the course of the year, resumption and acceleration of construction of the Mexico-U.S. border wall was supported by Congress after they passed a major spending bill that would fund wall construction and border enforcement. And that's not all, folks. This list doesn't even include all the things this current president and his administration have done to destroy, backtrack, and embarrass us as a country. See the Epstein files, the ear shooting performance, the destruction of the White House, the administration's social media presence, ICE terrorizing our cities, the military parade, calling a woman piggy. The list literally goes on and on. We have lived through countless historic events this year, and personally, I'm exhausted by it. And I know you are too. These events disproportionately affect the Black population and people of color, and we have to take that into consideration when we're counting how many spoons we have to give for the holidays. So, forgive me if I just want to be under a weighted blanket with my cat, with a cup of coffee, and my comfort show on in the background for the Thanksgiving time I have off. I need to disassociate for a bit. Because I'm low on cash. Not only has the job market been extremely volatile this year, but the cost of living in this country has not only increased emotionally, but financially as well. While yes, some markets have been adding jobs and some folks have had success in landing new roles, the majority hasn't. The process of getting a job is a direct reflection of the market. You can send out hundreds of applications and get back crickets. A majority of the time, you won't even get a rejection email. The quality of the application processes has also taken a turn for the worse. You're combating AI screeners, AI resume scrubbers, and, you can't use AI to answer their AI-generated questions. Hell is really continuing to creep up above ground because this process is brutal. This has led to people staying in jobs they hate and quiet quitting, abandoning ship and just figuring it out, getting laid off and replaced by AI counterparts, and forced to battle it out with their replacement to get back into another job. It's honestly just a sick game at this point and feels hopeless, adding to the emotional toll many are facing, not just me. Now, the flip side of this, cost of living, has also gone up this year. The broadly used inflation metric Consumer Price Index rose about 3% over 12 months, and that data ends in September of this year. Food costs are up about 3.1% over the last 12 months. Shelter and housing-related costs are up about 3.6%. Energy costs and utilities also saw increases, and for many households, that meant higher bills for heating, cooling, electricity, the basics. A 3% inflation rate meant that, on average, many goods and services you paid for a year ago now cost about 3% more, which I know doesn't seem like a big number, but adds up over time. For bigger expenses like housing, energy, groceries, the effect is even stronger because those consume a large part of many household budgets. While this isn't as large of an inflation increase as we've seen in previous years, citing the 8% in 2022 and the 4.1% in 2023, it's enough to still pack a punch, especially when we're already carrying the weight of all these major milestone events. The current job market and the cost of living and traveling around and enjoying life really aren't jiving. So, forgive me if I don't have the funds to get home for Thanksgiving and then back without feeling the pressure in my wallet. Because I'm emotionally, physically, mentally tired. If you've made it this far, this is a no-brainer. I'm too fucking tired, too fucking sad, and I want to be as horizontal as possible for the rest of the week. Here are some thoughts on this mental exhaustion from professionals. The 24/7 news and social media cycle around protest, governmental disruption, political violence, and heated social debates can create a constant background of stress, anger, fear, and uncertainty. A write-up in Psychology Today argues that political polarization and constant political news contribute significantly to this rise in anxiety and depression. For many adults, financial pressure like inflation or cost of living increases and political turmoil overlaps. A 2025 study found that 43% of Americans say money is negatively impacting their mental health. Most of those Americans cited inflation and rising everyday cost. On top of this, according to the APA-linked survey in that article, many Americans say political tensions have caused conflicts among friends and family. Here are some quick stats. Roughly 77% of US adults said future of the nation was a major stress source. Understandably so. 79% said the 2024 election caused them anxiety, and many discussed politics with their therapist. 43% said money is currently negatively affecting their mental health, and inflation was cited as the main reason. One survey of U.S. workers in early 2025 came back with 75% of respondents reporting low mood, and 74% wanting mental health support specifically for stress from global and political turmoil. It's a lot, y'all. And if staying in your home, away from family, and family that will not comfort you, but rather stress you out more, is your act of self-care this holiday season, do it. Again, while these issues affect everyone, even the people who voted for the current monster in office, it still affects Black people disproportionately. I'm very woo-woo, and proudly so. I fully believe that our generational trauma will continue to show up as our bloodlines deepen, and while we are having more trauma thrust upon us this year, the act of going through it brings up old trauma our ancestors went through as well. That is a very heavy burden to carry. The movement of choosing peace and letting our less melanated counterparts do the work this year has spread a lot. I'm glad it has. Did you see the discourse around sitting out of the protests this year? We did our part. We've always done our part. Closing thoughts. I wish I was tracking my blood pressure while recording this. Recounting all the events and my personal feelings and thoughts on it all has been a trip down memory lane that felt both incredibly long and way too short at the same time. And sadly, I can't sit here and detail every single thing that has gone wrong this year to affect our mental health, our energy, our wallets, without being all over the place and taking a considerable amount of time to do it. I'll just say this. It astonishes me how quickly it can all fall apart. How one man and his administration can tear apart a legacy with malice and signatures. It begs the question that I'm sure many have either already posed or are starting to wonder about. If this is all it takes, how good was the foundation to begin with? Stay tuned for more on that next time.